When Mizuno debuted their first Wave Rider model in 1998, I'd wager that no one would have predicted that there would have been 29 versions of the shoe produced in years to come. It's been a shoe line that respects where it's been and has kept a reputation of being a vintage running shoe across the years. Mizuno Wave Rider 29 is my very first in the Wave Rider series, so how did I like this roller? Let's ride the wave! Welcome to the AmeLiaRun channel. My name's AmeLia, and today I'll be doing a review of the Mizuno Wave Rider 29. This is a shoe I purchased myself from Fleet Feet in my size of 8.5 wide. Like all my reviews, I'll be going over the nerdy details of the shoe and discussing fit, ride, predicted durability, versatility, value, and styling of the shoe. I'll also take a look at other shoes within the Mizuno family, as also take a look at some alternatives. This is made with the hope of creating an accessible resource to assist runners of all running levels of experience in their search for the right fit. My reviews will be timestamped to the best of my ability for easier reference, regardless of where and when buyers are shopping. Just note that on YouTube, for whatever reason, I'm having some difficulties with actually getting the chapters to come up on the video itself, but if you look in the description, it will be there. Getting into first the nerdy details, the Mizuno Wave Rider 29 is a daily trainer with a listed weight of 9.3 ounces, or 265 grams, a heel stack of 39 millimeters, a forefoot stack of 29 millimeters. That makes for a 10 millimeter heel to toe drop. The shoe has an EVA nitrogen blended compound for the foam. Mizuno refers to this as the Mizuno Energies NXT EVA foam. Just keep in mind that that's kind of a hallmark of the Wave Rider series. It blends kind of that nitrogen kind of put into like their EVA foam. Make it a little more responsive, make it a little peppier on top of that reliability that the series is known for. It's going to be kind of like also like a bouncy stride, bouncy ride. The 29 also features what Mizuno refers to as their wave plate. You can kind of see it here. It's kind of that exposed plate right there. It's TPU. You can think of that as like the materials in a phone case, kind of those kind of plastics. And it's there partially throughout the shoe, particularly in the heel and the midfoot. It's there to help add stability. It's composed of a jacquard mesh upper, and it's made of recycled materials. It has a thick layer of carbon rubber on the outsole. The shoe is retailed for $150. But you can snag a pair for around $135 depending on your preference in color and size needs. It is also available in wide. As I said, this is a Getting into style and fit. Starting with style, these shoes certainly look attractive. The upper material has an interesting texture to it. With also some exposed bits of its plate. I think those combine for a unique design, even if it is a bit on the conservative side overall. I think that upper and that exposed plate kind of add a nice little flair. The laces, unfortunately, did not hold up for me. They only lasted about 2 runs for me before salt, snow, everything awful about the winter just started kind of fraying them. So I had to replace them with lock laces, as you can see here. Haven't had any issues since I put the lock laces on there for them, though. I will say that my odd-shaped feet undoubtedly had some issues with the shoes, particularly on the lateral side. I kind of experienced kind of almost feeling like my foot was riding up against the lateral side throughout my run. I don't know how much of that is my run mechanics being as bad as they are, and how much of it might be that this doesn't really have that high volume of a within the shoe, even in a wide size. Wide sizes don't also necessarily mean that you're going to get a taller shoe. It might just mean wider. So there's a myriad of things that could be the culprit there. Getting into the ride though for this shoe, I will say, as I mentioned, I struggled with these a bit out on the road. The ride felt a little stiff for me in a way that I'm used to more from like stability trainers. The shoe felt like it was pushing me out to those lateral sides, as I mentioned. Um, it almost reminded me of like the protection you get from like medial stability shoes, in the sense that it doesn't want to go inward, so it kind of just leans you onto the outside. That's kind of the experience I had running in these. Uh, I had to triple check between my runs. I'm not kidding. I had to check to make sure these actually weren't stability shoes, which, if you're interested in a light stability shoe, like something, something I can do that's neutral but leans, some kind of dips its toes into the stability side of the house, that's perfect with these. As for me, I wasn't the biggest fan in that regard. Um, I will say too, it has rather low energy return. I do wonder how much of that has to do with all the factors I just mentioned. Um, Maybe also being a heavier runner. I'll put my hand up and say I'm a heavier runner. I do wonder maybe how much that foam and the upper kind of reacted differently for me as compared to somebody who might be lighter. Definitely be interested to see what others have been experiencing with this shoe. Getting into predicted durability for the Mizuno Wave Rider 29, my issues with the fit and ride aside, these shoes feel rock solid. I mean, aside from the snafu I have with the laces, I'd be shocked if these shoes experienced any issues in durability. Uppers felt nice. They were actually relatively easy to clean. These were actually really, really dirty before the review, and you could only see a couple little scuffs here and there that I couldn't really scrub out. But I wonder, if the recycled materials for the Shakur upper, they might be easier to clean. I don't have any science behind that, but especially for a lighter colorway like this, I was quite impressed. Getting into versatility for the Wave Rider, I might have to punt, honestly. You know, for me, I feel like, if you need a lighter stability shoe, um, maybe you want accessibility, maybe if you're a heel striker who hits really hard on those heel strikes, I think that plate, this TPU plate, would be wonderful for you. Um, I think it's beauty in the eye of the beholder when it comes to versatility. I think that if versatility to you is a daily trainer, you could also take out for long miles, easy miles. I would say if you can get a long mile with these shoes, they're going to help you in that regard. Obviously, you're not going to pick up the pace in these. I will say that, if you have medial needs in the shoe, that these will keep you comfy and safe. Finally, getting into value. As I said, I think it is a case of your mileage may vary, literally. Um, I'm unsure if they're worth $150, $135. I think that's a fair price, honestly. Seeing them on sale, I ended up getting these at full price because I needed to get them in wide. I was very disappointed in what I had from a wide shoe, particularly because I had to spend a little bit more for the wide shoe. Not saying that it's more on the onset, it's just it doesn't go on sale as much. So that's something to weigh as you compare shoes. Getting into relatives for the Wave Rider. First up is the Neo Zen. So the Neo Zen is a non-plated max cushion daily trainer. It has a sock-like upper. It is a versatile, no-nonsense plush ride that can punch up the speed if you need it to, but is also plenty comfy at cozy daily miles. Might even be a solid option for long runs. Shoe was initially priced at $150, but you can get a pair for around $100 right now. Uh, there's a second rendition of the shoe that just recently dropped, which is probably why you can get the first one a lot cheaper. I will say, speaking of drop, the shoe is listed at a weight of 8.3 ounces. Heel stack of 46 millimeters and a 4-foot stack of 40 millimeters for a 6 millimeter drop. Word of caution though, the shoe can, and in my case, felt very wobbly when I tried it on in the store. So if you're like me, you're duck-footed, your strike patterns all over the place. Um, you might be shifting around quite a bit in this shoe because of that upper. It is also available in wide. Next up is the Mizuno Neo Vista. Much like the Neo Zen, this also has a second version that just came out not too long ago. I actually purchased a pair of the first version. So what I will say too is that this shoe has a nylon plate. So nice big exposed nylon plate here. Pronounced rocker geometry. It bundles with that sock-like knit upper. I found this upper to be different from the Neo Zen in my opinion. I know not everybody agrees with that. I found this one a little bit more difficult to get along with than when I tried on the Neo Zen. Biggest thing, a word of caution, is if you need to adjust laces, this kind of upper, not very accommodating. Even if you unlace everything, it doesn't stretch really far, or as far as you'd expect it to. What I will say though with the Neo Vista is that it has 44.5 millimeters of heel stack, and then it's got 36.5 millimeters of 4-foot stack for that nice 8 millimeter drop. It's a decent drop. It debuted for $180, but like the Neo Zen, with that second version out right now, you can get anywhere from $80 to $140. It's a very stylish shoe. Even if I can't reliably run in this shoe, I wear this to a couple different functions here and there, just if I wanted to have an eye-catching shoe, because it's certainly a very attractive shoe. Next up is the Wave Sky 9. The max cushion relative to the Wave Rider. The Wave Sky 9 is a softer ride than the Wave Rider. Much more cushion, has a plush underfoot at the cost of versatility. I always kind of look at the Wave Sky as the Gel Nimbus to Asics Nova Blast, in that, the one's a daily trainer with comfort in mind purely versus like versatility, maybe a little bit more, average Joe, kind of like a little bit of jack of all trades. If that makes any sense. Sorry. What I will say too is it has a woven upper and an attractive design, along with its aforementioned nitrogen infused EVA foam that we find in the Wave Rider. Priced a little bit more than the Wave Rider. Wave Sky is going to be about $180, and it's at 10.3 ounces, heel stack of 44, and 4-foot of 38 millimeters. Has a 6 millimeter drop. I will say it is also available in wide sizing. This one reminds me a little bit of like a cushioned version of like the Mach 6 from Hoka. Finally, I don't always talk about stability trainers, but it would be incomplete to talk about Mizuno's family of shoes without discussing the Wave Inspire. On its 21st edition, rendition, the Wave Inspire is the long, reliable stability daily trainer option offered from Mizuno. I'm no subject matter expert on the shoe, admittedly, but I did want to state the facts for the shoe. It's priced at $140, and you can all find it discounted for as low as $90. It weighs in 10.3 ounces and has a 38 millimeter heel stack, 26 millimeter 4-foot stack for that 12 millimeter drop. It is also available in wide sizing. Getting into alternative recommendations for the Mizuno Wave Rider 29. First up is the Adidas Supernova Rise 2. This is a shoe I have in the lab right now. Supernova Rise 2 is a daily trainer that is comfortable, versatile for daily training and all-day wear, and a very attractive design. When I think of the impetus for the Wave Rider 29, the Supernova Rise 2 kind of shares a similar space in my mind. The shoe's 9.4 ounces, 33mm heel stack, 23mm forefoot stack, makes for a 10mm drop. I have been finding it comfortable, and I think that the fact that you can find it for $140 market price, but discounted anywhere from $40 to $75 regularly, with a third installment coming soon, I think this makes it worth shopping against the Wave Rider 29. The next shoe I wanted to compare is the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. So the Deviate Nitro 4 just released, however, I picked the 3 as it was kind of more geared as a daily trainer. It has 39mm in its heel, 29mm in its forefoot, has a 10mm drop, weighs 9.5 ounces, features a full carbon plate, and has the legendary Puma Grip rubber outsole. Might be a bit harder to find a pair of these right now, but they are often on sale for about $115, and they are also offered in wide sizes. Finally, the Brooks Glycerin 22. Look, much like the Wave Rider, Brooks has had a legacy of daily trainers, and it would not be a good buying guide without mentioning the Glycerin from Brooks, as it's been a compelling daily trainer for almost as long as the Mizuno trainer. The Glycerin is 10.2 ounces and offered in wide and extra wide sizes, and has a comfortable 38mm heel, 28mm forefoot for a 10mm heel to toe drop. It also features a nitrogen-infused EVA foam and is practical as a daily and casual shoe. You can find these initially priced for $165, with prices generally ranging anywhere from $100 to $124, with the newest edition available now. Final thoughts for the Mizuno Wave Rider 29. I'm really disappointed that I've yet to find a pair of Mizuno shoes that I can get along with well. Both these and the Neo Vista had issues with my instep fit. I'll also say that despite being marked here as wide, had some issues with the width of this shoe. And same issue I ran into with the Neo Vista. It's definitely not for lack of trying. I find the Mizunos to be a very attractive shoe, a shoe that I very much want to try to find my one true shoe, if you will, with them. I'm going to hold hope, though. I'm going to keep looking. I will say, if you want a stylish trainer, if you have light stability needs, these are worth trying. Even if you see them in the store and you're like, I don't know if I want to try these, give them a shot. They're different enough from a kind of, I don't want to say, because it sounds a little harsh on the market right now, but, you know, some shoes might seem a little samey. These stand out by sticking to their roots, if that makes sense. You know, where one's going left, they're kind of staying the course. Give it a try, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's any shoes you'd like to see me look into. I have been trying to upload at least 2-3 times a week, be it like YouTube Shorts or vlogs. I'm trying to do a review every week. Realistically, I still think every 2 weeks is probably more of a reliable money in the bank kind of expectation. With that said, I hope you're all staying healthy and safe. I have some big updates coming here soon, and I will see you all in the next review.